Welcome back. So, I really have some random items for you. Some great buys, some amazing finds, and I'm really, really excited to add all these things to the PC. So, starting off, we have a very, very inexpensive, there's $5 photo. It is a reprint, which again, I am fine with because finding unique images um, help to tell a story. And it's not always about getting a type 1 photo. Sometimes you just get a nice reprint, much later reprint, just to kind of fill in little pieces of a player's career and story. So that is what this one is. So a very nice Greenberg image sitting in the dugout looking at the camera. Just a great, great image. Next up, inexpensive buy, Oscar Schechtman. So, an NBA original. And this is signed in blue Sharpie at the bottom. Not the greatest signature. He's up there in age. Um, a very reputable collector of Jewish autographs had this available. And I think I got it for opening bid. So, always nice when you can add interesting autos to the collection. So, NBA original first scored the first 2 points in NBA history. Next up, very inexpensive purchase. This is a buy it now. This is a 1947. Very large piece. I did have one of these, but for $13 shipped, I wasn't going to pass it up. Yes, it has holes punched in the side. That is perfectly fine because it is a playing days um, premium card, whatever you want to call it, for Greenberg. It is part of the trading card database. So playing days Greenberg, even with holes punched in it, for $13. Yes, please. So I'll take that all day long. Next up, another really, really good buy, as I only have one other contract signed by Greenberg. So this is the contract for Barney McCloskey of Dearborn, Michigan, signing with the Cleveland Indians for $10,000 per season. Signed by McCloskey, Greenberg, and William Harridge. This is April 8th, 1953, is when it was approved. Contract was signed in January 1953. So there are a couple contracts, Greenberg signed contracts on eBay right now. I think they're still up there right now. And I've made plays at different ones on a few occasions, but I'm not going to spend a fortune. So this one came up for auction, and it didn't go much beyond the opening bid. So I got it for a really, really good price, and I was able now to add my 121st Greenberg auto to the collection. And it's nice to have a dated one. Contracts are becoming increasingly harder to find. Obviously, my ideal contract to find would be that of Al Rosen, because any of his contracts, I think, with the Indians are going to be signed by Greenberg. So it'd be nice to eventually get a Rosen and Greenberg dual signed contract. But until then, I'll keep picking off some less expensive ones. I'm not going to spend the prices that people are asking for on eBay. That is for darn sure. But when one comes up at a reasonable price, And looking at other items that they were selling or auctioning, it seems like either this individual or they had purchased a rather large McCoskey collection. So, as interesting as weird as that may sound, that was the case. And so this was one of the items that they had. Jumped on it as soon as the auction, as soon as I saw the auction, kept an eye on it, and fortunately was able to win it even though I wasn't watching it at the tail end. My bid held up, and again, it didn't go far beyond opening bid. So I was very, very happy to add my second Greenberg contract and my 121st Greenberg Auto. Now, speaking of Al Rosen, so this is and this is not the same top loader it was in. So this is a decal Series 2 from 1952. Rosen and Mitchell. Now the interesting thing with these is you see them kind of for different players on a fairly regular basis if you just look at the decals from this year. And Series 1 is much more common than Series 2. And I mean, I bought it for I think $12. But the interesting thing is I looked up the PSA pop on it, on this particular one, and total number graded is 1. So soon that will be 2. And hopefully I can add more in the future. But first time I'd seen this one pop up, and again for $12, I'll add a rare Al Rosen piece to the collection. Pretty much any day of the week. Alright. 2 more items. Obviously one of the other key players that I collect is Morris Arnovich. This album page came up. It was a buy it now or best offer. I think they might have an auction option on it, but yeah, threw them an offer. We went back and forth a few times. Eventually settled on a number that I was comfortable with, and clearly they were comfortable with. Already slabbed, saves me a lot of time and some money. Arnovich autos are not they're not cheap, because he did die very young in comparison to other players. So his stuff doesn't come up all the time. So the fact I was able to find something for a reasonable price, I was happy to get it, and it's already certified, don't have to worry a thing about it, and just happy to add another Arnovich auto to the collection. And now we have one more item. Now, before I show it to you, I'll tell you something I just saw a day before shooting this video. And that was a very similar item, not as appealing for my collection, but a very similar item was listed on eBay for quite some time. And I had made some plays at it, but and plays at the same value, the same price I paid for what I'm going to show you shortly. And the seller kept turning it down. Well, eventually they went onto Facebook, into one of the groups that I watch. They sold it for twice what they had it listed on eBay for. They sold it for $600. And that was a very, very basic ticket stub, which just had the South, or PSA slabbed. It had South Phillies versus Hilldale. It was a Negro League ticket from 1922. Different game, but same matchup. Theirs was from July 7th, I believe. This is from August 7th. And this is 1922, as I said before. Negro League's Hilldale versus South Philadelphia Hebrew Association, which is the same as South Phillies, as labeled on certain tickets. I was thrilled to find this, because the SPHA stuff is very, very seldom seen. And I must give a shout out to John Mangini, who, as soon as this was listed, he texted me with the eBay link. It took me, I think, about a week before I started negotiating with the seller. But we came to agreement for a very, very reasonable price, a heck of a lot lower than the final price of the other ticket, and a lot lower than what they had listed, that other seller had theirs listed for on eBay. But I like this one because it has, I just say SFA ticket. Again, there's just a very basic, like you'd find as a raffle ticket type of format. This one is much more appealing to me for my collection. And SFA they're more well known as for their basketball team, because they were one of the kind of early leagues and eventually led into the NBA in the 1940s. But they also had obviously a baseball team, and South Philadelphia, they used to just play the Negro League teams that were in the area, and Hilldale being one of them. So it's an interesting piece of kind of Jewish baseball history, Negro League baseball history, and baseball history as a whole. And also kind of U.S. history, because it speaks to, for lack of a better term, how different groups, ethnic groups, were thought of at the time, in the 1920s, even in Philadelphia, even in the North. So it's a great ticket. I'm definitely just keeping it as part of the PC. Essentially, I could flip it right now according to a recent price and make 3 times my money. But I'm just happy I got a fantastic deal on it. I'm going to keep it as part of the collection, being that it's part of Jewish baseball history and Philadelphia history, since I do live in Philly. And while not South Philly, it is part of my community that I live in now. So this was the big buy of all the buys I had. This is turning out to be I think the most interesting one historically, probably the best deal of them all, but some really kind of rare pieces. And I will say, of the South Philadelphia or the SFA tickets, there's only, I think, 13 that have ever been graded or certified by PSA. So not common whatsoever. And just happy to have one as part of the collection. So again, rarely do I come across this. First time I come across this. I don't see a lot of Arnovich autos. I don't see a lot of Greenberg contracts. First time probably the last time I'm ever going to see one of these tickets. And just really, really happy to add all these pieces into the collection, because as scattered as they may seem, obviously the theme runs through them, of Jewish athletes and the history of Jewish athletes, and specifically Jewish baseball in the United States. So those are the items that I have for you this time around. Until next time, please remember to collect what you enjoy what you collect, and don't let anybody, especially the market or a YouTuber, dictate that to you. And most importantly, have fun. And have fun by being active in the community, whether it's making videos, watching and commenting, going to live streams, group chats, going to LCS or local card show, or simply talking about the hobby with family and friends. The more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. The more you'll learn, the more your PC will grow, the more people you'll meet, and the more fantastic friendships you'll form. So I thank you very much for joining me. Hope to see you again. Have a good one, and bye for now.